Hello and welcome to today's mobility video. My name is Bre. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If you're brand new to mobility work, specifically functional range conditioning, which is what Flo and I are both certified in, then you will see that this is not just 3 minutes of stretching and then all of a sudden you're able to unlock this pose. For specific mobility training, what we're doing here today is called PAILs rails. So it's progressive angular isometric loading and then regressive angular isometric loading, so the PAILs and the rails. Now when we do both of these exercises, you'll notice that even though we're holding the poses, they can become quite challenging. So I just want to set the expectation and remind you and let you know that this is not just like express mobility class where it only takes a couple of minutes. You really still have to put in the work. And over time, the more you do these mobility exercises, the more that your joints will reach new end ranges. I'll explain more as we go in the video, but for today, all you need is your mat. You can also just do this on the floor, but you will also need a blanket or something that's a little bit softer to put one of your knees on. Whenever you're ready to begin, let's start in a tabletop position. So we won't need the blanket quite yet. But in this tabletop, before we start working on the specific PAILs rails for each joint, then we first need to warm up the joint by working the joint in the full end range of the joint capsule. So with that, we first do an exercise which is called CARS, the abbreviation, which stands for Controlled Articular Rotations. So let's just start with our right leg first. You're going to bring your right knee up towards the chest or towards the right arm, and then begin to open the right leg out to the side as much as you can. Without moving your spine, without moving the hips, you're only moving the right leg. And then bring the leg all the way back. Lift that right knee as high as you can to the sky without dumping into the back. And then lower the knee back down towards the ground. And let's reverse it back. So the right leg comes straight back. Lift the right knee as high as you can without letting your spine start to let the belly sink down, and then start to bring the right knee out. So with controlled articular rotations, we're working on keeping everything else in the body super stable. Bring the right knee back down towards the ground, and let's do one more each direction. So lift the right knee up towards the right arm, bring it all the way out. So you're really focusing as if your ball and socket of your right hip is sort of brushing and sweeping the edge of the rim of the cup of the hip joint. Right knee comes back down. And bring the right leg back up as we close off this last rotation. Move nice and slow. And the right leg comes back down. Let's do the left leg while we're at it. So left leg comes up towards the left arm, all the way out to the side. Try to keep everything else in the body super stable. Right knee lifts up towards the sky without coming into a back bend. And then, left knee. And then the left knee lowers back down to the ground. Reverse it back. Left knee comes back up towards the sky. And then right at that point where you start to feel like you're about to come into the back bend, don't resist. Bring that left knee out, all the way around, up to the front towards the left elbow, and back down. Let's do one more full rotation. Left knee forward, out and back. Lower the left knee down. And last time, let's close off this rotation. Left knee comes back up towards the sky, out to the left, all the way forward and down. So you can also do CARS for hips in a standing position, but for this video, it's just easier to keep everything on the ground. Great. Release back into that tabletop, and then walk the hands back. Grab that blanket that you have, and we're going to work on our right hip first. So place the blanket underneath your right knee, and then come into a low lunge. So left leg comes forward, your right knee is down on the ground or on this blanket or extra mat. And then first we want to set up the position. So come into your low lunge as you would. And then instead of bringing the hands down on the ground, I would like you to actually be sitting upright. So from your hips all the way through the crown of your head, you're going to imagine a straight line. So it's natural to start to curve the back and stick the belly forward when you're trying to find an increased range in the front right hip flexor. It's normal to do this, but I'd like you to really resist that urge. So instead, I want you to tuck your tailbone under, almost as if you have your pelvis here. And if your pelvis is pouring too far forward, you want to pull it back up so that the pelvis is almost parallel to the ground. So now once you feel like you have your pelvis in a position where the tailbone is tucked under, then you can begin to send the hips forward and down just a little bit more. With that left hand, you can bring it on top of your left thigh, just to add a little bit more stability. And so before we come into this PAILs rails exercise specifically, you need to stay in your natural end range for about 2 minutes. Before we even begin the exercise, you just need to be in this position so that your hip joint starts to recognize what's going on and it can start to open up more. This gives time for the neurons to start firing and connecting and talking to each other more, and you will get more out of the exercise if you spend the first 2 minutes before the mobility work to just sit in your natural, comfortable end range. Great. So now we have been here for a couple of minutes, so now we can start the mobility drill. So now I would like you to again keep your crown of your head reaching up towards the sky, and then start to engage the muscles in the core, the lower abs, a little bit in the right glute, the back, the chest. And as you fill up your lungs with air, I want you to sort of ground down and imagine that you're engaging all the muscles in the core, in the spine, in the glutes, the hamstrings. Everything is a little bit engaged, a little bit tight, okay? So start to engage everything in the body. We call this irradiation. And now that you have everything engaged, your core is tight, then you're going to start to draw your right knee forward. Without actually pulling the blanket, you shouldn't be able to pull the blanket, but you're going to start driving that right leg forward. So let's do it. Give about 50% effort, 60% effort, 70, 80, 90, and 100% effort. Give it all you got. You're really imagining that you're trying to push your knee into the ground, almost as if you're carving a chunk out of the wood. Keep pulling that leg forward. Give it all you got. Keep the tailbone tucked under. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now stay here. Slowly relax just slightly. And then begin to do the opposite. So now it's that regressive. So start to engage the muscles in your right glute, your right hamstring, and then immediately push back with the knee, as if you're trying to get your legs to be farther apart from each other. Let's go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. As you release and relax, let the hips sink forward just a little bit more. Maybe it's only a centimeter. Maybe you didn't notice a difference at all. It's all good. All of these movements are going to be so subtle, you're going to barely even notice. But over time, you'll begin to notice a difference. So now you're in your new end range. So again, set yourself up. Tuck the tailbone under, engage the core. Start to irradiate everything in the body. Fully engage. And let's begin with PAILs. So begin to send your right knee forward. 50% effort. 60%, 70%, 80, 90, and 100%. Give it all you got. Drive that right knee forward. It's okay if you start to shake. It's all good. That's normal. I know this is tough. Stay strong. Keep pulling that right knee forward. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now immediately draw the right knee towards the back of the room, the back of the mat. Engage the right glute. Pull it away. Spread the feet away from each other. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. With the help of the hands, gently press back. Come into a tabletop. And take some gentle circles with the hips. Great. Let's slide the blanket over to the left side, and we'll move on to the left leg. So left knee comes down onto the blanket, right leg comes forward. And then again, we're here for about 2 minutes. So set yourself up with that back foot. The left foot, you could either have the toes down on the ground, you can also tuck the foot under, so whatever feels more comfortable for you. If you have the top of your foot on the mat and you feel a little unstable or that you're coming left and right, then you can just heel toe your right foot to the right, maybe 1 or 2 inches, and just widen the surface area so that you're not about to fall over. This is not a balancing exercise or a balancing video. This is about mobility, so make sure that you feel stable and comfortable. So we've already been here for almost a minute. So maybe you can bring that left hip just a little bit more forward. At the same time, you're tucking your tailbone under. Now you know what's coming on the other side. And you can still make this yoga. You can still come back to the breath, still come back to the present moment. We're almost done here. Just 2 times, PAILs rails on the left side, and then we'll wrap it up. You're doing fantastic. Great, so now we've hit that 2-minute mark. So your joints are starting to release hyaluronic acid, which binds with water in the body, and it helps your joints become a little more mobile as well. So let's start with this PAILs rails. So first, I'd like you to tuck the tailbone under, nice and tall. Crown of the head reaches up towards the sky. And then begin to engage the core, the spine, maybe even the shoulders, the arms, the legs, everything gets engaged. Now start to drive your left knee forward towards the front of the room as if you're starting to carve your knee into the ground. Give it 50% effort, 75% effort, 90%, and 100% effort. Give it all you got. Really pull that left knee forward as much as you can. Drive, drive, drive. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Immediately pull the left knee back. Start to engage your left glute, your left hamstring, as if you're trying to pull your left leg towards the back of the room. Everything else in the body stays as it is. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, let the hips come forward, maybe just a little bit, into your new end range. And we begin with PAILs again. So start to bring your left knee, drive it forward towards the front of your mat. 50% effort. 60%. 70. 90. And 100%. Give it all you got. Drive, drive, drive. 10, 9, 8, 7. If you feel like you're dumping into your right hip flexor, pull back on the right hip flexor and sink the hips forward. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And immediately pull the left knee towards the back of the room. So we're doing the opposite. The left foot is pulling back. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gently release. Nice and slow. Come back into tabletop. After doing specific PAILs, rails, mobility exercises, it's very common to come out of them and immediately feel like you're 150 years old. So that's normal. It's all good. Start to bring that fluid back into the hips, make some circles. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me today for this hip mobility routine to help you increase your range of motion. We'll see you again in the next video. Lots of love, lots of gratitude. Namaste.